All right. Good morning, Mr. Kinney. I'm
Okay.
Frank Jones, and I'm with Department of Veteran Affairs, Bay Pines VA Hospital. We're here today, April 26, 2023, at the National Advisory Committee Conference. And uh, we're here with Brian Kinney, a veteran, and we would like to ask you to participate with our Remembering Our Veterans program. So we have some questions we're going to ask you. Is that okay?
Yep, that's okay.
All right. Thank you, sir. So we'll start out with some biographical details. Tell me a little bit about your childhood, such as where you were born, where you grew up, and your early education.
Well, I was born in Wichita, Kansas. When I was 1 year old, our family moved to Mobile, Alabama, and then my school, I've have gone to uh, regular elementary, middle, high school, and then I did a little bit of college, but only a couple of years. But it just wasn't. I wasn't doing good enough for it to stay in. Put it this way, to pay the money to stay in there.
I understand. So we'll go back to some of your early days in the service. What motivated you to join the military? Were you drafted or did you enlist? And which military branch did you serve in?
Well, actually, what motivated me was was working for a campground, wasn't making a whole lot of money. Then I went to this hospital where I wasn't going to go up in any pay, where I worked for it for 2 years, and I was like, I need to think of something better to do, and then I decided to go. I would try the Navy recruiter. Well, talked to him, and I was like, this is something, maybe I like this, because I figured I'd be able to travel, which I have traveled. I've been
Mm-hmm.
able to go travel. So that's what, more or less, what motivated me was to pay. In other words, having a better job and being able to go out of my, what do you want to call it, my hometown. In other words, because I was going to be stuck there forever, and I don't like it. I didn't like being in just one place to a point, you know.
And was that still Wichita Falls at that time?
No, I was, living in Mobile.
Mobile,
So I was,
Alabama.
because I, like I said, I'd moved there, and moved down there, and I was stayed there for all the rest of my life. And so pretty much any job I was getting, I was doing it around there until,
Mm-hmm.
which I find out now they've got all sorts of military stuff there now. Before, they didn't have none of that.
So,
So,
and you said you joined the Navy.
yep, I
Was
joined.
there a personal reason or a connection that drew you to the Navy?
Well, it, I didn't want to be a ground pounder, and I didn't. I don't know. I just didn't think about the Air Force, because, like I said, I guess I would think about people jumping out of planes and all that. And I definitely didn't want to be a Marine, because I mean I'd seen some of and I knew I'd be on a ship. I mean, they ain't too much, ain't too bad there. I mean, as long as I was on the ship,
Mm-hmm.
I figure I could handle getting. If something happened, at least I'd be able to land in the water, and hopefully get rescued and that. Whereas those other ones, you were always in war, and where most of the time, like a lot of my service, I was on ships that all I did was supply the stuff, and I didn't have to go actually quite into the war zone except for Desert Storm.
Mm-hmm. And what years of service were you in again?
91 to, I mean, no, 81, 1981 to, active until 1993. And then they paid me the SSB bonus, where they paid me my last 5 years to retire. So I'm retired. I don't get a steady monthly check because they pay me in a lump sum,
Mm-hmm.
but I get all the other benefits.
Excellent, thank you. So you mentioned going to Desert Storm, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, would you like to speak about your time during Desert Storm? And let's see, your primary job assignment. You had mentioned
All
supply.
right. Well, see, I was gunners make guns, so I dealt with ammunition, the weapons, the because I've actually been a range master. I've trained, and a lot of that over there. I was mainly over a 3-inch 50 gun mount, and we set out in the water in case something happened. Plus, we supplied the carrier that sat right next to us with all their missiles, ammunition, everything they needed to take into the troops. And so that was what we were mainly doing there was, handling that. I was a gunner, like I said, gunners make guns. I made it to first class, and I pretty much I was like as a senior person, so I was like I said, I made range master where I taught like 500 people how to shoot. I mean, because I've actually had that. Then I got the um, some of the some of the awards I started getting was like I got the Iraqi Freedom Award and stuff like that because we were in there during that time.
Hmm.
Even though, like I said, I mean, I was pretty much on a ship, but we were still. I mean, they couldn't do anything without us. Put it that
Hmm.
way.
Oh, absolutely.
They didn't couldn't
The
get no
Navy is very important.
couldn't get no
So,
ammunition if you didn't.
were you awarded any other medals or citations
I've had
for your service?
three good conduct. Done 12 years good conduct, which a lot of people say that's hard to hard to believe nowadays.
Hmm.
But I've done three good conducts. I've had the humanitarian, the like I said, Iraqi freedom. The there was a couple of I'm trying to remember some of the other ones. I've got like six different ones, and then I got certain ribbons because I got battle E's and everything like that.
Okay, excellent. So, is there a vivid or fond memory of your time in the service that you'll never forget?
Well, it really just going, being able to go over there. Like I said, I mean, I could have been stuck in my little hometown, and yet I've traveled the world. I mean, I've been in Bahrain. I've been, over in, well, I've actually gotten the Blue Nose. I've went to Trondheim, where it's up past the Arctic Circle
Mhm.
and stuff like that. I mean, my vivid memories is just being able to travel and go to these places, which I know I can talk to people and say, I went to this, and they're like, I've been outside Kentucky. That's about as far as
Mhm.
I mean, I drove ships as big as these cruise liners. I mean, because I started out in the deck part before I became gunner's mate, and I mean, you know, you can't you can't say that you drove a ship that's as big as a cruise line.
Not many people can say that at
No.
all.
So I mean, that's my vivid is just being able to done everything I've done.
Beautiful. So you know as well as I do, being a veteran, that there's always so many funny stories that we have. Right? You take people from all over America, you throw them together, you're going to come up with some funny situations. Do you have a humorous or funny story from your time in the service that you'd like to share?
Well, I'm trying to think. I mean, there's been there's been bunches of different stories. I mean, it's hard to remember because, like I said, that's also been almost 30 years for me. So,
Okay.
I mean, I can't think of one offhand. I mean, like I said, there's been bunches of them. I mean, us running in our shorts and t-shirts for blue nose and stuff like that. So,
Hmm. So when you got out of the military, you said 1993. What was the occupational field that you went into then, and what are you currently doing?
well, the occupational field I went into then was I was working in a mechanical company. They wound up laying me off, so then I got into started working for 3M, the Post-it notes,
Hmm.
where I'm in the only company for Post-it notes is in Cynthiana, Kentucky. So that I mean, I made Post-it notes for 21 years. Then I retired, and about 2 years later, I decided to start volunteering at the VA. And
Excellent.
so,
What do you do as a volunteer with the VA?
well, at first I started out just being their escort, talk information at the desk,
Hmm.
and then as my chief, who's here with me, as he'll put it in my, because I've got the VA volunteer, male volunteer of the year award. He's going to put it in there as during COVID, I started bugging him because I couldn't stand to sit at home anymore, and I started bugging him, and I said I got to come back in there. So he brought me back in the office. Now I'm more or less 2 days a week. They know that they ain't got to worry about receiving donations or doing all their paperwork. They can still do their paperwork, have their meetings, because those are the 2 days I take care of everything, making sure all the different. I try and make sure all of the groups I will deliver the clothing that we give to them to all the different areas. I make sure all that's taken care of, and they usually whatever I deliver, they don't have to deal with until I come back the next week. So
Well,
I'm like as he puts it, I'm his uh, unpaid staff. But
I can tell you that is a huge blessing to have someone you can
and,
depend on and someone that knows how to do the job.
and
So
then
thank you.
see, because I deal with all that, I also write I have the Elks. I get grants. I know what we need, and so I'm able to write the grants up and stuff like that. And as he'll put in his statement about it, I get mostly anywhere from 20,000 to $30,000 a year brought
Mhm.
from the Elks National and the regular our lodge and different groups I work with, because that's not the only groups I work with. The Kiwanis, I work with the Kentucky Veteran Hall of Fame. I work with the Kentucky Colonels. I'm in
Excellent.
I'm in all of them. I've gotten. I
Well,
don't do it for the awards, but everybody says, well, that's where you get your groups out there that people
mhm.
know the names.
Well, absolutely perfect here. What are some of the hobbies that you have? I know you spend a lot of time with the Elks, a lot of time with the Colonels, a lot of time
Actually,
with all these services. Sounds
actually,
like really that's your hobby is to serve.
yeah, that's what it is. That is exactly what my hobby is, because I don't have any other ones. I mean, like I said, after 2 years after I retired from 3M,
Hmm.
I was sitting there, and one day I decided I was driving. Well, put it this way, I was driving to another county just to walk around their stores because I was bored. And so then I happened to go to the VA for one of my appointments, and I was like, and I checked into the volunteer service, and I was like, this is something I would like to do. So, yeah, I mean, and plus I have a connection with the guys there, and it's also gave me different things because I've talked to a guy that was a Tuskegee Airman. I mean, there are very few of those, and to be able to talk to a guy that's actually
Hmm.
flown during World War II and he was a Tuskegee Airman. I mean, I sat there and probably talked to him 20, 25 minutes because I was like, I mean, I see this on TV. This is on History channels and stuff. When I watch the History Channel, I mean, talk to a guy in person. I mean, it was just to me. That's why I enjoy it, because it's real to talk to the guys that's been in there. I talked to a guy that was in the Battle of the Bulge,
Hmm.
and I mean, they're slowly dying off, and I mean, I see, like I said, I see all of this stuff on TV, and then I actually talk to people that's done it,
Hmm.
not just they can tell me they tell me the true story sometimes where TV's not telling everything accurate.
Absolutely. So you've mentioned a couple of these things already, but how did your time in the service, in the military, affect your life? And what are some of the life lessons that you still use today, currently in your life, that you learned during the time in the military?
Organization, because if I didn't have organization the way I do right now, with the different groups writing grants up and different things like that, and then helping like us do in his um, work in the area I work in, I wouldn't. I mean, that's one thing I didn't have that when I was until I got in the service, and it was more of they made you, it taught you to be meticulous about things. They trained you to do
Mhm.
this. You need to be very particular about this. Now sometimes it doesn't pay to be meticulous, because I mean, but then you know I'm very sometimes that might go a little further than I should probably with it, but I want to make sure I got copies of stuff. You know,
Mhm.
People say you're very, very, very organized with this. I'm like, well, that's the way I want to be, because I want to make sure I know what's going on.
That's right.
I don't want somebody come back later on and say, hey, you screwed, you're screwing up on this or something.
Yeah, the military does a great job of installing high standards for
Right.
us. So
And see,
I appreciate that.
that's one of the
Mhm. So another thing is, and you had already mentioned this, right? one of those once in a lifetime opportunities, like going to the Arctic Circle and getting your blue nose, going to Bahrain and Dubai and Iraq, Kuwait. Were there any other once in a lifetime events outside of the military that you would like to share?
Uh, no, because like I said, it was pretty much I live.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I traveled, and because of that, I was able to go to these places. And to me, I guess that's my highlights is all the military stuff because I wouldn't have been able to do it if I hadn't got joined the military. I mean, it would have been just, like I said, I'd have been stuck in a job that I'd been bored with, and I only could go maybe two more pay grades up for the rest of my life in a town that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and whereas I can go, I've been places nobody in my town, even where I live now,
Mm-hmm.
nobody can say that they've been unless they were in the service or something. And so,
Well, I'll tell you, just from knowing you for a couple minutes here, um, one of the great things in your life outside military that you've done is giving back to the veterans,
yeah,
right? All of these organizations that you've mentioned work hard day in and day out to serve our veterans, along with the Benevolent Order of the Elks, Protective Order of the Elks. Great partner for the VA, and we truly appreciate everything y'all
well, I
do
mean,
for us.
our slogan is we do not leave, don't, I'm trying to remember exactly how it goes, but we don't leave a veteran, but, we don't,
No veteran left behind.
yeah, left behind. I mean, that's what our main slogan is, to take care of all veterans. And then we do other stuff, cancer for the kids, cancer the
Mm-hmm.
type things, but our main thing is to focus on veterans.
Absolutely. So, what do you wish more civilians knew about veterans or our military services and branches?
I wish they would, excuse me, I wish they would be talk to more, talk and listen to more and volunteer at some of these places because, like I said, you know, you get a, I get, what do you call it, a great feeling, but that's also because I was a veteran, and I know what they're telling me, and I understand it. See, that's the other thing. Sometimes I hate that the civilians their main thing is you could tell them everything I'm telling you, and they would not have an idea at all of what
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about. But yet, you talk to a veteran, you ain't got to explain yourself. You just, and a lot of them, it's just the way it is. They don't really. That's not a big thing anymore, and I hate that. But if they would volunteer, I think they would learn a lot if they would volunteer to VA because they'd realize exactly what a toll that being in the
Mm-hmm.
military does take on you sometimes.
So, what would you like people to remember or take away from your journey? And what message would you like to leave for future generations of veterans, future generations of volunteers, future generations, that are going to be working with our veteran service organization?
Find as that, like I've said before, with some of the ones, find something you love doing, especially if you're loving volunteer. Find something you love doing and enjoy it and do it because that's like there's a lot of people tell me that I work more now than I worked when I was in working service or when I
Mm-hmm.
was at my other job. But I look at it this way: I'm volunteering. It's something I enjoy. It's also by volunteering you can set your own hours. I mean, it's not a 9 to 5, so I mean you can do what you want, and you'll get a lot more. You'll get a lot out of it because I know I have because, like I said, that's why I still do it. You know,
Absolutely.
and I'll do it until I probably die. But
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you. Is there anything else that you would like to speak about, that you would like to ask um, during this interview that maybe we didn't ask you or missed?
no, like I said, I think mainly it's the volunteer work's mainly what I try and push
Mhm.
for a lot of people, and that's what they like about my my chief of my volunteer services he's one of those that he sees what I do, and like I said, he depends on me to the point that he actually they have staff meetings, and a lot of times I'm in on their staff meetings because I try and take care of everything, do a lot of stuff. And like I said, you just need to enjoy what you do and volunteer. And like I said, you'll find something, and it might not be what I'm doing. It might be just escorting patients to their appointments. Might be just talking to them or giving them directions. But like I said, I didn't know I would like what I'm doing. I started out doing just the directions of patients, but I also was one of these. I knew the hospital like the back of my hand after that, because I get very into my to whatever I go at, and I guess probably people will see that a lot. That once you if you I'm one of these with what is it, the dog that once he gets a hold of the bone, he doesn't release
Mm-hmm.
it. So that's how I learned that, and then I started working from there, and just like I said, now I'm more or less a step up, I guess you could say, in our volunteer service organization.
Absolutely. So find what you love and chase after it, and
Yep,
let the journey
and
unfold in front of you.
you'll enjoy it. At
Absolutely.
least I have. I found I have.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Kinney, thank you for taking the time to share your story with me and share your story with all of the veterans and the community that we have out there. Thank you so much. Thank you for your service. Have a great day, sir.
Thank you.